Hi everyone, Sally here. Hi everyone on Instagram. Okay, so today we're talking about the placebo effect and how understanding the placebo effect a little bit more can help you with your menopause symptoms. So first, let's take a look at what the placebo effect is, and then I can give you some tips on how you can use it in your own life to help with menopause symptoms or actually anything else. So if you're watching, say hi. So the placebo effect is also known as the placebo response. And it's an incredible response in the body and brain, actually, where the body and brain responds positively to a fake treatment based on an expectation that you have. So you might have been told how it's going to work. You might have been told that it's going to stimulate you, or you might have been told that it's going to relax you. So in the case of stimulating you, it may have the effect on you of accelerating your heart rate or increasing your blood pressure or mobilizing you a bit more. In the case of relaxing you, it might help you to sleep better or decrease your heart rate or relax your nervous system a bit more. So there is actually real molecular change. It's not just in the mind. And as David Hamilton says, no longer can the placebo effect be dismissed as a figment of people's imagination, which I think is pretty incredible. So in his book, he refers to a study where brain scans have now shown that taking a placebo in place of Prozac affects most of the same brain areas as the actual drug itself. That's pretty amazing. And even though it's not an identical response, the change is very significant and shouldn't be dismissed as psychosomatic or just all in the mind. So in David Hamilton's book, How Your Mind Can Heal Your Body, he has got many, many examples of how the placebo effect has worked in scientific studies, which you are free to go and read and research as much as you want to. But what I want to talk about is the idea of belief, conditioning, and expectation, because this is how we can apply it in our own lives, especially when we're talking about menopausal symptoms and mental health, because we know that mental health at menopause begins to suffer. So this idea of belief, conditioning, and expectation, so how we respond to an expectation, is really quite fascinating. So belief is what makes the placebo effect work. And that's how RTT works as well, the treatment that I do, rapid transformational therapy. And that's how, hands-on healing works. If you've ever seen that guy in Brazil that lays his hands on people and they just have this spontaneous recovery. So if you believe that you literally have the hands of God on you, healing you, you are going to get an instant healing. That is the power of belief. So when this doubt, when this negativity creeps in and we begin to sabotage the treatment, that's what happens when doubt and negativity creeps in. And I see this sometimes in some of my own clients where they might not have a great response in the first session. Maybe they've had a particular condition or like an eating disorder or something that they really identify with. They've had it for a long time, or insomnia that they've had for like 5, 10, 15 or even 40 years. It's so ingrained into their identity that they just don't believe, they've tried everything. They just don't believe that they can be any different. They believe that that's the way that it is for them. So in RTT, we have to do another session. RTT is done under hypnosis, if you didn't already know that. We have to do another session because then we have to talk to that defiant part of themselves, that resistant part of themselves that doesn't actually want to be optimistic about change. But anyway, I digress slightly there. So let me know if you're watching. Hey TJ, hey Michelle, lovely to see you. So let's talk about conditioning. Conditioning is quite interesting as well. So in his book, David Hamilton talks about this idea of boosting the placebo. So patients were given a drug for, say, pain relief or hay fever. so like an immune suppressant or something. And then unbeknownst to them, 2 weeks into the trial, the drug was swapped over for a placebo. And what they found was that their body took over from the drug, producing the same chemicals. Okay, no, let me correct that. Very similar chemicals to that of the drug. I find that amazing, that your body and brain has this capacity to produce similar, if not better, body identical chemicals that are sort of doing the same thing. It's like this hand-holding approach. The drug sort of goes in and then the body does this pattern match. It's pretty amazing, really. And it goes back to that thing that I said last week about Dawson Church, who said each of us holds the key to a pharmacy containing a dazzling array of healing compounds. Our brains are themselves generating drugs similar to those that the doctor are prescribing for us. The doctor is prescribing for us. So this is fascinating, and it really gives us so much empowerment. No longer do we need to be at the mercy of our changing body, but it means that we do have agency to positively affect our bodies and possibly even elevate our sex hormones back up. Now, I know that is a really radical thing to say, and as yet, I don't think there is any scientific evidence that that is possible, but why not? Let's just think outside the box for a moment. Let's just think of the possibilities. If we can increase our muscle strength, if we can grow nerves back, if we can repair damaged tissue, why can't we positively affect our hormones? Visualization. We know that visualization affects our neuropeptides, and neuropeptides are, to do with hormones. And oxytocin is a neuropeptide, which is a hormone. So we need to think wider. We need to think of the possibilities. Why is it not possible? Why would it not be possible for us to elevate our own sex hormones back up? It's important to have hope. It's important to think outside the box. It's important to think wider, because if you've got no hope, what have you got? And this brings me to my next point. One of the other things that Hamilton says and points out is to do with the power of optimism. So, and I quote from his book, between 2005 and 2007, scientists at the University of Toledo compared responses of optimists and pessimists to placebos. So over a series of experiments, they gave optimists and pessimists a placebo and told them that it would make them feel unwell. The pessimists responded more and felt more unwell than the optimists. Interesting. Then the scientists gave the optimists and pessimists placebo sleep treatment and told them it would make them sleep better. This time the pessimists responded more and the optimists responded more and slept better than the pessimists. Optimists are more likely to benefit from something that's going to make them better, while pessimists are more likely to respond to something that's supposed to make them worse. Your attitude is everything. That's page 29. How your mind can heal your body. Your attitude is everything. Your attitude can affect how well a drug is going to work, how well a treatment is going to work. Your attitude can affect, acupuncture, hypnosis. It can affect how food is going to respond in your body. It can affect how exercise is going to respond. It can affect everything. This is huge because our positive or negative attitude as well usually comes from our upbringing, usually comes from our parents, usually comes from our caregivers when we're younger. My dad had a really, really positive attitude to life. And, my dad left Sicily when he was 33, didn't have a pot to piss in, drove all the way to the UK because he wanted to be a motorcycle racer, believed he could do it. My dad's father died at a young age, and he came over to the UK, didn't make it in motorcycle racing, but set up a shop selling motorbikes without speaking the language, and just had this exuberant positive energy. He's 84, he still rides his motorbikes, and he has the most positive attitude I've ever seen in a person. His cup is always half full. No, he's not perfect, obviously. So I really do believe that our attitude comes from our caregivers way back when, but it also comes from our culture. And I think the interesting thing to recognise in all of this is that it's not ours. So if we have taken on a negative attitude or a pessimistic attitude, we can recognise that it's not ours. And we are free to choose to change our attitude according to what we choose to believe is possible. And when you read books like this and all the other amazing books out there, The Genie in Your Genes and Joe Dispenza, you recognise that there's so much the medical profession don't know yet, even though they're catching up. And we, in the information age, knowledge is a choice. In the information age, ignorance is a choice. So I think this is how the placebo effect can really help our menopause, mainly with our attitude. But we're going to take a little deeper look at this in a minute. Grace, you've said so true. When I run out of my inhaler and have difficulty breathing, I use the empty one as a placebo, as I know there's still traces of the drug in the inhaler. P.S. I'm an optimist. Brilliant, Grace. P.S. This is when I'm out and about and don't have the spare. Yeah, amazing. I love that. So we can all learn from that, Grace. Okay, so let's look at how we can use the placebo effect to positively affect our menopause. So first of all, I think it's really important that you are hugely discerning about who you take information from, especially people who hold a certain amount of authority, because their opinions may become part of your belief system. Now, we know that women who are, 35 or edging towards 40, who have been told that they are geriatric when it comes to getting pregnant, we know that they end up forming a belief that actually stops them from getting pregnant. And actually, I'm working with somebody around this issue, infertility, unexplained infertility. Actually, no, it is explained, this particular infertility, but it's so interesting when it comes to fertility, and fertility and menopause quite similar in their vibration, in their essence. So we as therapists then have to come along and undo all of that damage, all of those unpick all of those beliefs that people in authority, particularly doctors, are giving their patients. If there are any doctors watching this, I would love to know what you think. I think I have a lot of doctors in my sphere here who are very forward thinking about this whole idea of how your mind affects your body and the placebo effect. We also know that cancer symptoms can, in a lot of cases, start to get worse after diagnosis as well, which also shows there's a correlation about, how the mind is working and what we are told. So my advice, if you want it, is to just be careful about who you take information from and look for the most positive doctors, the most positive menopause sympathetic doctors, the most positive gynecologists, people who really understand the mind-body connection, because that's going to help you get better and that's going to help you get the treatment that you need. So I want to talk about conditioning and menopause and HRT. This is a bit more challenging because what we're talking about here is swapping HRT for a placebo. And what we would need is for someone to do that for us on the sly without us knowing. And that, you've got to be part of a scientific trial. You can't just get your mate to do it for you because there could be, or your partner, there could be implications. So there is something very interesting that I wanted to talk to you about, which I came across with hay fever. And I'm just literally thinking out loud here. But I wonder if it could work with menopausal symptoms and HRT. So with hay fever, what you would do is someone that's got debilitating hay fever, you get them to take an antihistamine. Then you would get them to take some lavender oil and pop some on their hands and sniff. Really breathe it in and do that whilst the antihistamine is kicking in. And then eventually you would start over the course of, the week, the days, you would then start to reduce the dose of antihistamine but continue sniffing the lavender. So there becomes an association between the antihistamine working and the lavender, the olfactory sense. Now, I'm not an aromatherapist, but if there are any aromatherapists here watching, it might be interesting for you to contribute to this conversation and let us know how you think that works in terms of the olfactory system, because I know that the olfactory system is pretty powerful and quite understudied as well. So I'm wondering if something similar could be done with HRT and clary sage, which has been known to help with hormones and menopause symptoms. Totally pie in the sky, totally throwing it out there, totally don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's think outside the box. Maybe if you know a doctor or somebody that does research, maybe we could do that. TJ, you've said I cured my sleeping issues with smell. So yeah, what did you use, TJ? Was it lavender? Was it vetiver? What aroma did you use? It'd be really interesting to know. Because you can get those sleep sprays, can't you, which are really helpful. But it's how you use them. It's the belief behind how you're using these things that I think makes them work, like crystals as well. It's not just the fact that the crystal is earth energy, and the earth and you get the negative ions when you hold a crystal. There's something around belief as well. TJ, you've said, I think it just needs to be something that you don't encounter regularly in your day. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Can you clarify? Cool. Okay. So the thing that I am most interested in is the power of optimism and how we respond to an expectation. And that's why I've created these new hypnosis recordings for some of the most debilitating symptoms for menopause, because they enable you to lock onto positive and helpful ideas, images, and expectations, which your mind and brain can then translate into your body. It's like a coding. It goes from your brain into your body. Your brain gets the message. It goes, oh, okay, we know what's expected. Then it sends that coding somehow through this amazing network of intelligence into your body, and then your body responds. So when you hear something often enough, like, for example, every day your temperature is regulating more and more, you are becoming cooler and cooler at night time, you have these phenomenal coping skills. If ever you experience a warmer moment in your life, you just equate it with relaxation, and it's easy for you to pass through your body. When you start to tell your mind these things, your mind then begins to tell it to you back, and you end up in this virtuous cycle of positive expectation, positive belief, rather than a destructive negative cycle where you just become more and more and more and more depressed, out of alignment, sick, ill. Your immune system turns in on itself, your hormones dysregulate, your nervous system dysregulates, and it's just not good. So this is really about the mind, because your mind always does what it's told. Your mind always responds to expectations. If you expect the worst, you get the worst. If you expect to feel good, you will feel good, as in that Toledo study mentioned before about the pessimists get worse and the optimists get better. So TJ, you've said the smell you should use should be something you don't just smell casually in your day. I actually grow lavender, so that one didn't work for me because I smell it all the time. Interesting. So it's got to be something unique. It's got to be something that you don't smell every day, not an everyday smell. So one of those, like maybe like a pine, or like if you don't live in an alpine town, like an unusual sort of alpine tree would be good, I suppose, like Norwegian fir. What do they call it? Norwegian fern or something. What about smells that you don't particularly like? Because I don't really like vetiver, but it's supposed to be really good for sleep. So that would be good to know. I guess that can work as well. So I just wanted to read you this. It's from a website, and I will put the link up, about the placebo effect. So I love this. It says, the placebo effect is part of the human potential to act positive to a healer. A patient's distress may be relieved by something for which there is no medical basis. For example, when you put a Band-Aid on a child, it can actually make them feel cared for, it can make them feel supported, and they can actually believe that it's doing something really good for them. And that is how I think these hypnosis recordings that I've created for you are going to help you with your menopausal symptoms. So I would love to invite you to the launch of the Menopause Mindset Hypnosis Collection, aka Hypnosis for Hormones, which is happening on the 19th of October. It's a Monday night, 7 p.m. British summertime, via Zoom. But this is unlike any other Zoom party you've ever been to. So I've got some special guests coming along to entertain you at this Zoom party. So I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of a rundown to help you understand how the imagination works with these hypnosis recordings and works with your menopausal symptoms. Then we're going to have my guests. So we've got Gloria Smythe coming on, who is a menopause stylist, and she's going to show us how to work with colour, how we can bring colour into our lives at menopause to make us feel better. We've got the lovely Anna Price, who is a clairvoyant and a tarot reader, and she's going to give us a group tarot reading to help us move through this stage in our life with more ease and flow. We've then got Zulika Sassa, who is my personal trainer, who's been really helping me through this last year with strength and mobility. And she's going to be showing us some fun and simple mobility exercises that we can do to help keep our joints mobile, especially if we are sitting down a lot during the day. Then we've got Jo Darling, who's going to be teaching. Jo Darling's an acupuncturist, and she's the founder of the Menopause Magnet. And she's going to be teaching us a facial massage with spoons to help us maintain that youthful glow through our midlife transition. So if you want to be the first to gain access to these really quite innovative, I'll be honest with you, hypnosis recordings, and I don't think there's anything else like it on the market specifically for menopausal symptoms, then I can't wait to invite you to this party. So all you need to do is go to sallygarozzo.com/party, and that's it. Just register online and you'll be given the Zoom link. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed that session. TJ, you just said, I just used a flower that didn't grow near me. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, amazing. That makes perfect sense. And you've said, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to see you too, TJ. And I can't wait to see you, Grace, and anyone else that's coming. I can't wait to see you. I'm so excited. This is my first online launch. I've got some other really cool things happening as well towards the end of the year, but this is my kind of first online launch. And yeah, can't wait to see you. So I will see you next week for more juicy menopause mindset stuff. And yeah, if you want to DM me or send me a message or leave a comment, then please do. I'll always respond. Bye.